Hey, what's up everybody? In today's video, we're going to be talking about the banter between Virtuoso and Scrub and discussing all the ridiculousness that is day 5 of FusionRL for the European region. So if you guys haven't seen the tweets or have not seen this done in the past, it's actually pretty common from some of the pros. When they feel bored or whatever it may be, they basically put out a tweet saying that if people reply to it, whether you're a player, a community figure, whatever it is, they will rate you out of 100 and basically add to the top of that, as a player, if you're above a certain threshold and a number, your RLCS level. During all this, you're seeing a bunch of players and community figures, and the one that spawned all this was Cash, talking about how he's a ball chaser and he just needs to do certain things. Cash also brings up the fact that if he stays put, Virtuoso is going to demo him. And if you guys don't remember, Virtuoso was one of the players in Spring Series that had like 87 demos, and the next closest was in the low 30s. So staying still with Virtuoso on the field means you are probably going to get demoed. Because of that, Scrubkilla decided to bring in his own 2 cents and talks about, are you on crack? You don't leave the opponent's half, throwing a little bit of banter and having some fun with it. This is the type of banter that I enjoy. Obviously, these guys interacting, showing some personality, having a little bit of fun with it. They then continue to go back and forth, and Virtuoso brings up the fact that Scrubkilla was on the best team in Europe with Vitality and then dropped down to Singularity, who didn't have the best performance but is still in the RLCS, and tells him to mind his own business. In Scrub-like fashion, confidence is not something he lacks. He talks about how he can't wait for in a few months when RLCS happens, that he is going to be the best team in EU, and he's not kidding. A little bit shade towards Virtuoso's side, to which Virtuoso replies something actually pretty positive. He talks about how if that happened, I'd be happy for you, and that he's looked up for him. So he completely 180s on his situation. And again, if anybody is taking this seriously, it's just to tell you guys, like, these guys banter, they talk shit to each other all the time. If you guys have been lucky enough to watch the brawl or see this, shade is thrown all the time. It's all in good fun. Now, it may be a little bit hypocritical. I do talk about how these guys should be more professional and should interact that way and carry themselves online. But I will say there is, from a third-party perspective, a lot of fun being able to just see these guys interact and throw shade here and there. It provides good storylines, and you better believe when Singularity plays Endpoint in the future, there's going to be a lot of talks about this. I can guarantee it, and that's kind of the best part, is this kind of banter and shade, or whatever you want to call it, the drama behind it. It gives us more things to sink our teeth into when these two teams play each other. And you know I'm going to be watching Scrubkilla and keeping my eyes on Virtuoso to see if Virtuoso goes and demos Scrub a little bit more, because a lot of these guys don't forget about this stuff. Even though it's in good fun, it is more of us to stay invested with the game, and it's why I am personally okay when people come over to the States or go to Europe. Booing is involved. It is part of our culture. It is something that happens in sports all the time, and it provides that home field advantage. And I know that's a big difference between both sides. I think it just depends on where you're from. Now over to Fusion. If you guys didn't see it in the 3v3, we ended up having Vitality versus Singularity. Scrub versus his old team, ironically enough. Right after they get the banter with the Virtuoso situation, he ends up going in and showing the contrast between his old team and his new team. And his old team got smacked. Vitality swept everybody today, and it was convincing. Even though these matches, I will say, 2 OTs, 1 goal games in some of them, Singularity put up a relatively good fight. Vitality had everybody's number, and there's a big reason why I think Vitality is going to win it all. There's a chance that they even beat Ocalid in the finals. I don't really know how to explain this that isn't too obvious for you guys. And this is something that's going to be a little bit different. So I'm going to try to group the 3s and the 2s together because they follow the same guidelines. Vitality plays Singularity in 3v3s, and then they also play Dignitas in 2v2. 2v2 is going to have a little bit more to it, but in 3v3, like, they control the field so well. There is something about Vitality as a team where individually or as a unit, they can do things that no other team does because each of their players is so gifted in every capacity of the field. Whether they want to simplify it, go for the high flying flash, they can do that. And that's what the 3v3 was. A 50-50 was created. That pressure then kicks out to somebody. Another player from Vitality is there, and then you see a flip reset, a ceiling shot, a double touch, whatever you want. And then it happens again if they don't get a goal. The pressure still applies. They still get another 50. It kicks out, and now it's Alpha. And now it's KDOP, and now it's Fairy. And, like, it didn't matter who it was, but, like, each player individually has the ability to punish you. And it is overwhelming. Game after game after game, there is no let up. The only chance you have to beat Vitality is if you find somehow out of the gate to catch them being relaxed, because they do play without like that serious intent unless things are on the line. And that's why as the series progresses, the mentality starts to shift and you see this aggression from Vitality because they're like, oh shit, we're losing. This might turn over. We should probably take it seriously. And I'm not saying that they don't take it seriously the entire time. Knowing Fairy Peak is a true competitor through in and throughout. So is KDOP and so is Alpha. But it just feels like they don't have to try as hard as everybody else, and they still smack kids. It's unreal. We then go into the 2v2s, and it's the same situation. They go up against Dignitas in a team that, surprisingly enough, started with Yukio and Yours instead. I thought they were going to go with Violent Panda based upon how they played yesterday. But again, 4-0, 6-4. Eventually, games 3 and 4, Panda comes in, 6-2, 4-2, and it's the same situation. Literally nothing the other team can do can stand up against what this combination is. And that's with Alpha and KDOP. I can't imagine if KDOP and Fairy Peak came in. Honestly, it doesn't matter what rotation of players they put in twos because they're still going to fucking win. It is unreal the amount of pressure and the amount of poise that these guys have, and it's just a trade-off. One player comes in, they create challenges, they either win it and can follow it up. If they don't, their teammate is there in support. They come in and they do whatever they want. They've got plenty of space and plenty of time to do literally anything, and it's a flip reset, a ceiling shot, a double touch, a crazy pass infield, and it's just relentless. They have so much more boost to use, and they just suffocate. And people talk about some of the casters being biased or whatever. It's just when a team is playing that good, it's very difficult to not show that when the other team, like, no offense to the other team, Yukio's just not jumping. They're overlapping. They're bumping each other while they drive backwards. Like, Vitality does such a good job of putting people in awkward positions that when you do have time and space, you're just so conditioned to having to play fast because you know they're going to be in your face the whole time that things fall apart. So, again, Vitality, a lot of questions are being answered. People don't realize that Vitality in the past was a team that found themselves in the grand finals. When Scrub came in Season 6, they weren't figuring it out. There's a lot of overlap between him and Fairy Peak. Didn't go well. Season 7, they go to the World Championship. Scrub's first attendance, they win it. Season 8, they go to the World Championship again. They find themselves in the World Championship. They lose to Energy. They go to the Grand Finals, Game 7. They're one goal away, essentially, from taking it as well. So the performance and talking of like, okay, Vitality is up here. They're the best in Europe. You're bringing in another player that speaks French and is going to add more synergy, hopefully. But your expectation is up here, and anything but this is a failure. A lot of harsh criticism because of that from myself as well. And now that things are trending in the right direction for Season 9, they show that they're very talented. Yes, Dignitas won the regional championships. As a trending team, if they would have went to LAN, if they would have went to a World Championship in Dallas, I have a very hard time arguing that Vitality is the best team in the world right now. I think G2 would be exciting to watch them play. But as the series progresses, I cannot see a single roster handling Vitality right now. And there's a reason why today was a sweep day. They are 20-1 in Fusion. It is absolutely unreal. We're seeing two teams respectively in both NA and EU, both in G2 and in Vitality, that are dominating their regions and are looked poised to win every single game, every single match, every single tournament. Even if they may not win overall and they may trade some games here and there, I have expectations that these teams are going to be absolutely dominant, and I hope to see how that continues through these community tournaments coming up. So, again, I think it is a chance for these teams to form that dynasty like Dignitas did in the past with Turbo, but this is an opportunity, and I think it is fantastic for the esport if we see teams at the top that people are gunning for. It makes it very easy for fan bases to follow. There's a lot of positives to it. And they've got a target on the back, and it's not easy staying at the top. We then go over to 1v1s where Vitality is not involved for everybody's happiness. They'll be playing tomorrow. We've got Sandrock Gaming versus Trio of a Kind, where O'Khaled shows why he is considered one of the best players in 1v1s, arguably the best player in 1v1. And I cannot wait to see who he plays, whether it's apparently Jack or Fairy Peak, but I'm really hoping Fairy Peak because their playstyles are extremely similar. In this 1v1, O'Khaled showed his true merits. The ability to control and dominate, and Ixo, even though he played well, and even though Taz tapped in for the very last game, he just did whatever he wanted. It did not matter between bounce dribbles, and I'm sitting there watching it, and the guy's creating space in the midfield, and he's just bounce dribbling. Super simplistic, very controlled, and then when he has his option, top left, top right, wherever he wants to place it, perfect precision shot. Nothing you can do about it. And Ixo tried, man. Ixo came out wicked aggressive, almost started the game with a crazy double touch and an air dribble, but it did not happen. And Ocala just, again, sweeping the competition, looking super good, which is fantastic for them because it's the last bracket that they are alive in. So, again, a lot of eyes on Ocala. There's not a whole lot to talk about this one, but today was a sweep day. You brought out the brooms. Everybody went 4-0 super quick on broadcast. It was fantastic. Today we've got the last semifinals coming up. It is going to be Oxygen versus Dignitas in the 3v3. In the 2v2, we've got Oxygen going up against Singularity. Expect Astral and Shawzat going up against Though and Nolly. I assume those guys have a bit more synergy. Should be a fun one to watch. A lot of talented players on the field. And then in the 1v1, we've got Stormtroopers versus Vitality, which should be apparently Jack versus Fairy Peak. You do not want to miss that one because the winner goes on to play Ocalid, and that's what we are looking forward to. So 2 days left of the FusionRL tournament. Hope you guys tune in. We'll be doing watch parties all weekend long over at twitch.tv/Lawler. And last but not least, we got the top comment from the last video. We've got Shadowdoth asking, Lawler, am I wrong in comparing Singularity to Space Station Gaming with Nolly compared to Sipical, Though to Arsenal, and Scrub to AXB? I know SSG are better, but do you think with time they can play the same type of play style? I kind of understand where you're coming from, but not necessarily. There's a couple things on this one that are unique. Nolly, very talented, very gifted mechanically, but it's hard to compare Sipical to literally anybody. Sipical is the best player in North America, hands down. There is not many that compare to his skill level and what he does on and off the field. He has the game sense, the awareness. Sipical is a perfect player. He grinds. He's got the motivation. Like, in and out of the game, the guy is phenomenal. And even though Nolly is very talented in the game mechanically, he doesn't have the same game sense and the game IQ that Sipical has. Not instinctively, at least. He can learn it, but I don't think he's there quite yet. I don't necessarily agree with Though and Arsenal being similar. Arsenal is more of an impact player, and the way that he organizes and works with Sipical is a little bit more endemic into how they are, I guess, successful. While I see Though take more of a backseat, and it's more interchangeable with Scrub. AXB and Scrub, I definitely don't see the comparison. Even though you do agree that, yes, Space Station is way better, Scrub as a player has more capability than AXB and is more impactful overall everywhere on the field, while AXB is more of a passive, I'm here to tie it together, I am where I am needed kind of player. Scrub is making his presence known. I understand the similarities, and there is definitely some in the comparison, but overall, the players don't line up as much as I would like them to, but I do get where you're coming from. That's going to do it for me. That is our recap for the day. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, drop them down below, and you may find yourself featured in one of the videos. And if you guys enjoy the content, make sure you give it a thumbs up, share it with all your friends and family, and make sure you hit subscribe and turn on notifications if you haven't already. And there's like 70% of you or something like that that don't, so I would greatly appreciate it if you did. I appreciate you guys always taking the time to watch the videos, and we will see you next time. Peace.